In this video, we'll talk about 10 fatal avocado mistakes that can lead to serious illnesses, from dangerous infections and food poisoning to severe liver, kidney, and heart disorders, and sometimes even life-threatening. You'll be surprised at how simple mistakes, from choosing and storing to preparing and eating avocados, can carry hidden risks. Be sure to watch the video to the end to learn how to avoid these dangers and keep yourself healthy. This video will be extremely informative and helpful. So, if you want to become a master of your health, click like, and let's get started. Let's start with the fatal mistakes when choosing and buying avocados. Overripe avocados with dark spots or signs of rot are not just a spoiled product, but a real health hazard. Such fruit often develops fungi that produce dangerous mold toxins, especially aflatoxins, which are considered some of nature's most potent carcinogens. Studies by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States show that even minimal but regular exposure to aflatoxins can cause cumulative effects, affecting health for years to come. Aflatoxins are particularly harmful to the liver, as this organ is responsible for detoxifying the body. Gradual poisoning with aflatoxins leads to fatty liver degeneration, cirrhosis, and can eventually become one of the causes of liver cancer. The effects of consuming such products are exacerbated by regular consumption, and people with weakened livers are at particular risk. To protect yourself, inspect avocados before buying. A fresh fruit should be firm with no visible damage, blemishes, or rot. If an avocado seems too soft or has dark spots, it is better to choose another fruit to avoid putting your health at additional risk. Avocados imported from remote regions are often chemically treated to withstand the long transportation conditions. During this processing, the fruit is coated with pesticides and preservatives, which helps maintain freshness and appeal, but carries hidden health risks. Pesticides, even in small doses, accumulate in the body and gradually poison it, causing poisoning, allergic reactions, and in especially sensitive people, malfunctions in the hormonal system, and even neurological disorders. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has repeatedly documented the health effects of such chemical additives. Prolonged exposure to them increases the risk of kidney and liver disease and can disrupt the nervous system. To reduce harm, choose organic produce that undergoes rigorous quality control and is free of harmful chemicals. Organic avocados are usually grown without pesticides and are safer for health when consumed regularly. When choosing, try to favor fruits labeled organic. This will help avoid the accumulation of toxins in the body. Unripe avocados are another risk to consider. The flesh of unripe fruit contains specific enzymes and components that can be highly irritating to the gastric mucosa, especially for people with sensitive digestive systems. Studies by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that eating unripe fruits, including avocados, can provoke acute inflammation in the stomach and intestines, contributing to the development of gastritis and ulcers. For people with hyperacidity and other chronic gastrointestinal conditions, consuming unripe avocados can exacerbate symptoms, causing painful cramps and discomfort. To avoid such consequences, always check avocados before buying. A ripe fruit should yield slightly when pressed, but not be hard. If the fruit feels too hard, leave it at room temperature for a few days to allow it to ripen naturally and make it safe to eat. A damaged avocado peel is another hidden danger that many people don't think about. Through cuts and tears in the peel, pathogenic bacteria such as Salmonella and E. coli can easily enter the fruit. These bacteria can cause serious food poisoning accompanied by nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and severe dehydration. Such infections are especially dangerous for children, the elderly, and immunocompromised people. Studies show that thousands of cases of food poisoning are reported each year in the United States due to bacteria that may have entered food through damaged fruits and vegetables. To avoid this threat, always inspect avocados for peel integrity before purchasing. Choose only those with a smooth, even surface, free of cuts or damage. By the way, grateful people who put likes live longer on average by 7 to 10 years compared to indifferent or haters. Read the study in the description below the video. Next, let's look at fatal avocado cooking mistakes. Cooking avocados without thoroughly peeling the peel is an unnoticeable but serious mistake that can lead to dangerous health consequences. Even when not consumed, avocado peels can harbor harmful bacteria and pesticide residues that settle on the surface of the fruit after picking and transportation. Without thorough washing, these invisible contaminants can easily get onto the pulp when sliced, creating a risk of ingesting harmful bacteria such as E. coli and Salmonella. These bacteria can cause severe infections with symptoms that range from sharp abdominal pain to acute food poisoning and may even require hospitalization. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention notes that E. coli causes many serious illnesses each year, and immunocompromised people, the elderly and children, are most vulnerable to it. To avoid such risks, it is recommended to thoroughly wash avocados under warm running water, paying attention even to those areas that appear clean. If the peel of the fruit has visible dirt, you can use a soft brush to remove it. This simple measure will eliminate potential hazards and make avocados safe to cook. Adding avocado seed to dishes is a dangerous mistake hidden under the mask of a popular myth about its supposedly high nutritional value. While it is sometimes claimed that the avocado pit is rich in antioxidants and health benefits, in reality it contains toxic compounds, such as persin. This toxin can cause poisoning, especially if consumed in significant amounts. Persin is capable of damaging liver and kidney cells, causing symptoms that can include nausea, vomiting, and, in severe cases, acute pain and tissue damage. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration warns that not only is the avocado pit not beneficial, but it also poses a health risk if ingested. The best way to avoid these consequences is to remove the pit and never use it in cooking. It can be recycled or, if you have a garden, used as compost, but it should never be added to food. Cooking avocados over high heat is a mistake that destroys their valuable properties and can even turn this healthy product into a potentially dangerous health hazard. The beneficial monounsaturated fats that make avocados a unique source of nutrients to support heart and blood vessel function begin to break down at high temperatures. This process produces compounds that trigger inflammation and increase the risk of atherosclerosis by making blood vessels less flexible and impairing blood flow. The U.S. National Institutes of Health warns that such processes can significantly increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, especially in people with pre-existing heart or vascular problems. To preserve the beneficial qualities of avocado, it is better to add it to already cooled dishes or use it in fresh form, as this allows you to preserve all its valuable components without the risk of harming health. Cooking avocados with foods rich in sugar or with alcohol creates a dangerous combination that can seriously affect metabolism and liver function. Avocados are a fatty product, and combining them with sugars causes blood glucose levels to spike, putting a huge strain on the pancreas. This is especially dangerous for people with a predisposition to diabetes, as such sharp fluctuations in sugar levels can provoke a worsening of the condition and even a diabetic crisis. When combined with alcohol, avocado fats further burden the liver, which has to process both fats and alcohol at the same time. The U.S. National Institute of Diabetes, Digestive and Kidney Diseases emphasizes that such combinations can cause inflammation of the liver and cause long-term liver damage. To avoid the risks, choose more balanced combinations for avocado, with vegetables, greens, or whole grain products that neutralize its fat content and create a safe, nutritious meal. Using expired avocado oil is a mistake that can cause hidden harm to the body. Avocado oil that has lost its freshness not only loses its antioxidant properties, but also becomes a source of free radicals. Free radicals are molecules that actively react with the body's cells, damaging their membranes and causing inflammation. The gradual accumulation of free radical damage is associated with an increased risk of aging, cardiovascular disease, and liver disorders. The American Society for the Study of Liver Diseases emphasizes that regular consumption of expired fats increases the burden on the liver and can lead to chronic inflammation. To avoid these risks, always check the expiration date of avocado oil before use and store it in a cool, dark place. Now, let's look at the fatal mistakes of avocado consumption. Excessive consumption of avocado, despite its health benefits, can imperceptibly lead to negative effects on the body. Avocados are packed with monounsaturated fats, which, when consumed in moderation, support heart health by helping to lower bad cholesterol levels. However, an overabundance of these fats in the diet can upset the balance of lipids, raising cholesterol levels to dangerous levels, especially in those who already suffer from cardiovascular problems. Studies by the American Heart Association show that excess fat in the diet can lead to obesity and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, including hypertension and heart attacks. To avoid this, it is recommended to limit avocado consumption to half or one fruit per day. This measure helps to maintain a balance of fats in the diet and reduce the likelihood of undesirable heart health effects. Particular caution is needed for people with chronic stomach diseases, as eating avocado on an empty stomach can cause sharp discomfort. The high fat content in this fruit stimulates the active secretion of gastric juice, which increases the load on the gastric mucosa, causing a feeling of heaviness and even pain. For people suffering from gastritis or peptic ulcer disease, fatty foods on an empty stomach can worsen the condition, increasing inflammation and irritation of the mucosa. Studies by the U.S. National Institute of Health prove that fatty foods on an empty stomach can provoke an increase in acidity, which aggravates the course of gastritis and ulcers. To reduce the risks, it is recommended to consume avocados together with other foods, such as proteins or carbohydrates. This creates a balanced meal, reducing the load on the stomach and allowing you to enjoy the flavor of avocado without negative consequences. Those who suffer from elevated blood potassium levels should be cautious about eating avocados, as this fruit is one of the most potassium-rich foods. While potassium is important for health, excess potassium can lead to hyperkalemia, a condition in which high levels of potassium in the blood disrupt normal heart rhythm. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration warns that excess potassium is especially dangerous for people with kidney and heart disease. For them, hyperkalemia can have serious consequences, including cardiac arrhythmias and cardiac arrest. To avoid these dangerous conditions, you should not exceed the daily intake of potassium, which is about 4,700 milligrams for healthy adults. If you already have problems with your potassium levels, it is better to reduce your avocado consumption and regularly monitor the potassium content in your diet. Avocados may pose a hidden danger for people with hypothyroidism. This fruit, which is rich in fat, can interfere with the absorption of medications needed to keep the thyroid gland functioning properly. The U.S. National Institute of Endocrinology indicates that excessive fat in the diet reduces the effectiveness of hormone replacement drugs by slowing their absorption and weakening their effects. As a result, treatment is impaired, which can lead to worsening hypothyroidism symptoms such as fatigue, weight gain, and concentration problems. To reduce the risks, people with hypothyroidism are advised to consult a doctor to clarify the optimal rate of avocado consumption and the distribution of meals so that fatty foods do not interfere with the action of the drugs. For people with a sensitive digestive system, avocado can be a source of discomfort because the fatty acids contained in this fruit require prolonged digestion. Fatty foods put a strain on the stomach and intestines, slowing them down and causing a feeling of heaviness, bloating, and even painful cramps. Research published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology confirms that fatty foods can trigger symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome by increasing flatulence and making digestion more difficult. To avoid these consequences, people with hypersensitivity are recommended to consume avocados in small portions, observing the body's reaction. Gradual introduction of the product into the diet allows you to control its effects and enjoy the flavor of avocado without compromising your health. For people with liver and kidney disease, avocados can pose a hidden threat because their fat content overloads the already weakened organs. The liver and kidneys play a critical role in filtering and cleansing the body of toxins, and the extra fat puts additional strain on them. The American Association for the Study of Liver Diseases emphasizes that excess fat in the diet can lead to fatty liver disease, making it harder for the liver to function and reducing its ability to regenerate. The kidneys also suffer from the increased workload, as they have to excrete more breakdown products. To reduce the risks, people with these conditions are advised to minimize avocado consumption and consult a doctor to determine a safe rate, taking into account their specific health conditions. Choosing organic avocados can be an important step for health-conscious individuals who want to avoid exposure to chemicals and pesticides. Organic produce is more stringently monitored for contaminants, and because of this, there is less chance of toxins entering the body. And finally, let's take a look at the faux avocado storage mistakes. Avocado storage mistakes may seem minor, but they can lead to serious health problems. Left at room temperature, a cut avocado literally begins to spoil in just a few hours. Contact with air and environmental microbes turns the pulp into a breeding ground for dangerous microorganisms such as Salmonella and E. coli. These bacteria can lead to severe food poisoning with symptoms including nausea, vomiting, and severe abdominal pain. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports thousands of cases of salmonella-related poisonings each year, and many of them are caused by improper storage of food left at room temperature. To avoid such consequences, cut avocados should be placed in the refrigerator immediately. By wrapping the fruit in food wrap or placing it in an airtight container, you can prevent bacteria from gaining access and prolong the freshness of the flesh. A drop of lemon juice on the cut will also help preserve the color and reduce the risk of bacterial contamination, extending the shelf life of avocados in the refrigerator. Storing avocados in airtight plastic packaging without air access also carries hidden dangers. In an enclosed space with high humidity, the flesh begins to lose its freshness quickly, which creates excellent conditions for the development of bacteria and mold. Closed packaging without oxygen only accelerates this process. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration warns that the lack of ventilation in such packages contributes to the rapid growth of pathogens that can cause serious intestinal infections. To minimize the risks, it is better to store avocados in a glass or ceramic container with a small access to air or cover with film without creating a complete seal. This will allow the pulp to breathe and retain freshness without the threat of bacterial growth. Freezing avocados is a good way to preserve their nutritional properties, but only if done correctly. Improperly frozen fruit and then carelessly thawed can lose its texture and become watery and soft. What's more, repeated freezing and thawing leaves the product vulnerable to bacterial growth, increasing the risk of food poisoning. According to research from the National Institutes of Health, improper freezing causes the product to change its texture and degrade its flavor. To properly prepare avocados for freezing, it is recommended to first chop the flesh and add a little lemon juice to slow down the oxidation process. Then, it can be divided into small portions and frozen in airtight containers, which will preserve the flavor and usefulness of the fruit during long-term storage. Storing unripe avocados in the refrigerator is another mistake that hinders the fruit's natural ripening process. Not only does low-temperature conditions slow ripening, but avocados are also at risk of spoilage. The flesh can become hard, bitter, and unfit for consumption, which is not only disappointing but also poses a health risk if the fruit is still eaten. Similar digestive problems can occur when eating unripe and spoiled avocados. To avoid such problems, leave unripe avocados at room temperature, allowing them to ripen naturally. Once the fruit has reached the desired softness, it can be placed in the refrigerator to preserve its freshness for future use. Watch these videos next, and I look forward to your likes and comments.